Yeah.
Check that
Shalom.
out.
Shalom. Hey, first and foremost, we want to give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High Yahweh Bahashem, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Hey, we want to thank y'all for joining us. Hey, y'all see what's going on? Y'all seen the clip? You know, this can't be. This can't be. Look at this. This is a tornado, a fire tornado. This is the Most High doing this. That's a fire tornado. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, the Most High is not playing. A fire tornado, right? Hey, look, Most High bringing judgment on Babylon and all the extensions of Babylon on these people that's in our land and everything, right? Let's grab Ezekiel 36:5 real quick. Ezekiel 36:5, because we see what's going on, you know, these people in our land, and we're gonna get it back one way or another.
See that?
I ain't gonna say one way or another. It's only one way. Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? Bring it out, King.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey.
The Most High said he spoke against it, all the heathen that appointed their land, appointed our land, his land, into their possession. Right? Hey, justice is gonna be served. Right? Y'all got anything else?
Let me get the book of Jeremiah. Right? Hey, shalom to the saints, man. Hey, we appreciate y'all joining us, man.
That's right.
Another episode of, you know what I'm saying, the Israelite perspective. Right. So we got some interesting topics. You know, we always appreciate y'all taking y'all time out to fellowship with the brethren. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all holding it down. And enduring. Right. Let me get Jeremiah 51:20. Right, because the other one was bringing out, we gonna get this back through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. They in our land.
That's right.
The Most High is burning that land up, the hell up right now. Because of all the abominations, man, all of the lies, right? The philosophies and the doctrines that don't align with his purpose, man.
Right.
So, man, the Most High is gonna utilize his people, right, to break in pieces the nations, man. Let's read it. Jeremiah 51 and verse 20.
Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 20. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war.
Right. So the Lord said, thou art my battle axe, man. Right. And if you read above that, he's talking about the children of Israel and weapons of war. So the Most High God is going to utilize his people at the end of the day to get back what was lost, man.
Okay.
His apple of thine eye, that's who he's going to use, his saints. Right? And the saints are not talking about believers, man. Anybody can be a saint. The saint is talking about the children of Israel.
Right.
Because if you listen to a Christian, when we done debated many brothers, man, and sisters that will tell you that the saints is the believers, but they have no precepts to justify their belief.
Right.
So the saints are the children of Israel, right? Read on.
For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy the kingdoms.
And the kingdoms and the thrones that's talked about in the book of Daniel, these kingdoms, man.
That's right.
Right? Are these kingdoms that have exalted themselves through rape, rob, murder, colonization, pillaging? You understand? The Most High said he's going to utilize the saints, man, right, to break in pieces the nations and to destroy kingdoms. Right? Read on.
And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider. And with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider.
See that? So again, the Most High is going to utilize His people, man. That and we got the point in that, man.
Right.
Right. So that's what's going to happen in that day and time, man. Right. And we have to be getting our spirit in preparation of that. Exodus 15:3 say that the Most High is a man of war.
Right.
So you got to be moving in that type of spirit for that day and time, man. You got to be prepared, man. Right? You got to be getting your spirit right. You got to know who and identify who your enemy is, man.
That's right.
You got to stop thinking that your enemy is your own people, man. You got to stop siding with these heathens, man. And learn to side with your brothers and your sisters, man. I can't wait till we get into the topic, man, because there's a lot of folly going on, man.
It sure is.
It's a lot of weird stuff going on out of one.
Right. It definitely is.
It's a lot of justifying of the heathen going on, Abu Dhabi. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta address it. But we gonna do one thing at a time. My bad for getting ahead, but I yield with that, King.
Nah, you good, King. You good. You in the spirit, man. All right, so y'all see the topic, and we about to go and get off into it. Y'all see the topic. So when is enough? When do you stop having your brother's back? Right? When is it? When is there a time when you just say, you know what, my brother done went off? You know what I'm saying? And you start siding with your oppressor. Is there a time where you like, this Negro is going off? He messed up this time. I can see what the oppressor talking about, and I take the oppressor side, right? Is there a time when that takes place? When does that happen? When do you get fed up, right? Because if you see the thumbnail up there, the brother that unalived the officer, so I see people saying, well, he unalived the random officer that didn't do nothing to nobody, right? And so, yeah, he wrong for that. That's what, this is what they're saying. He wrong for that, right? And he could have done something else. He didn't have to do that. All right. So first and foremost, let's go to Romans 12:18 real quick. Romans 12:18, just to establish something real fast, because regardless of the matter, regardless of all of it, we ought to be at peace with all men currently, right? Right now, we ought to be at peace with all men, and this is the precept that says that. You got it, King?
Go ahead, King. The book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men.
It's a moment.
Time. Slocky. Huh? What do you say?
No, you good. It said, if it be possible, be at peace with all men. If it be possible, right? All right. So we're not condoning or promoting for anybody to do anything to anybody, right? Because that's in the hands of the Most High, by Hashem Yahawashi. For that time period, for when Yahawashi comes back. But as of right now, we're not promoting that anybody do anything to anybody. Okay, but we're gonna get off into this. Okay, so let's check this first clip out. Now, this only got music playing, so I intentionally muted it. Get that music be playing, they get tripping. So look, it says they pulled up, like the caption says, they pulled up like a modern day Klan, so they could try to intimidate Rodney Hinton. Look at how many officers is there, right? A lot of people say, well, they came to support a fallen officer. The military can probably see where they coming from. Other officers can probably see where they coming from. So you see the officers. All these officers showed up. I think they said there was like 30 of them. Okay. All right, let me take that down. All right. Now the officers showed up like they did. Right? So check this out. This is the man's brother. Now, for the people, which I doubt anybody don't know about it, but for the people that don't know about it, his brother, son was unalived by officers. The officer said that his son had a weapon. and so they unalived him. They said that he had a weapon, but they said they found the weapon at the scene. I mean, what's the likelihood that they could have planted it? You know, I mean, it's possible that they could have planted it. But anyway, they said his son had a weapon, and so they unalived him. And so the father of the young man took his car and ran into a random officer. And so now he's dealing with this case. So this is his brother right here.
Come on, man, y'all cool. I just want my brother to see me. Take a breather. I just want my brother to see me. I just want my brother to see me. My brother can't see me. They did this shit before. They did this shit before.
That's the way to do it.
They did it before. I got a video of him messing with my brother and me before. I ain't do nothing. I just want my brother to see me.
Okay, so now him and his family and folks show up to support his brother. Now all of a sudden, here we go. But this next clip is gonna show you a little bit more on how it went down. But his sister, she gonna be talking through the clip. But listen.
But Rodney Hinton Jr., the Cincinnati man who struck and killed the sheriff's deputy the day after.
That's as loud as it go too. I ain't lying. So my bad, y'all.
His son was shot and killed by police. He had a bond hearing this morning, and it revealed more information about his background, his defense for this case, and what exactly happened on the day of this incident. So let me catch you up. First of all, there was some chaos as Rodney was walking into the hearing, but the video quality is not the best. So just bear with me, but watch and listen to this.
Mr. Bennett, at the prior hearing before today.
So that's his brother right there with the skull cap on. That's his brother standing up there. Now watch this. Watch this. You see the officer sitting there, right?
Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat, sir.
They telling him to have a seat.
Sit down. Was that the defendant's blood brother?
Not to my knowledge, sir. I don't know.
I mean, they telling him to have a seat, but why? You see, he was like, I just want my brother to see me. Not one officer got up to try to rationalize with the brother just to see, hey, you know, what's going on. I understand there's a certain way of doing things, but he's not actually in the courtroom. He's behind that glass. So it's not like he could physically reach out and touch someone in the courtroom. He's behind that glass. But because he's like, I want my brother to see me, they saying sit down. So now here go all these officers trying to swarm him. But it really what it is, y'all feel intimidated when y'all see, you know what I'm saying, our people showing out for our people. They're intimidated by that, but it was good as long as it was just them sitting up in there, 30 of them, you know, surrounding the brother. And when it was just them, it wasn't just them behind the glass. Mostly everybody at the scene and clip, they was all up inside the courtroom, but standing behind the brother. You see what I'm saying? They was all up in there standing behind the brother. So when his folks show up, now all of a sudden there's a problem. Sit down. What's the problem? What you need to see? What's the problem? I can't look at my brother. My brother can't look at me, right? So obviously that was just a reason for them to. That was just a reason for them to have an issue. Sit down. So here go all of them standing up, right? What you say? Yeah, come on. All praises. Shalom.
No.
Okay.
Once things calmed down, Rodney was brought back into the courtroom.
Good morning, Mr. Hinton.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then the hearing actually began. Again, it was a bond hearing, so the state is arguing why Rodney should not be released prior to trial, and to do so, they called the lead investigator of the case to testify about the evidence they have and what they say happened that day. And as reports have said, the story starts with when Rodney was at the police station viewing body cam footage of his son.
He had been coming from 801 Lynn Street,
Okay.
Which is where the Cincinnati Police Department's criminal investigation section is located.
Okay, and is that abbreviated CIS?
It is. He was at CIS to meet with CPD officials to review body-worn camera footage related to an incident that had occurred the day prior. His son had been shot by a Cincinnati police officer.
Approximately what time did he view that video?
Shortly after 9:30 that morning. So he left the parking lot, I believe, shortly after about 10:30. He went to a couple of different locations and then later returned. 12:40, he returned to our lot.
Were you able to speak to the people or some of the people or family members that he was with?
So this man went to the police station. He seen the clip of the officer unaliving his son. He left and then came back, right?
When he was at CIS?
They said that he was upset, was agitated, and they were concerned enough about his emotional state that they did not want him driving, which is why the first time that he was there, when he left, he actually left with family members, not driving the car that he had driven to that location.
So just to make sure you're following, Rodney left the police station around 10:30 a.m. after viewing the body cam footage of his son. He had driven to the police station, but he was so distraught that his family members made him leave his car at the station, and then they drove him home. About 2 hours later, so around like 12:30, Rodney comes back to the police station and drives his car alone.
After he came back to pick up the car, he actually left the parking lot, followed by some family members in another car, and then a few minutes later returned to the parking lot, drove through the parking lot, and then left the parking lot again. That was at approximately, I believe, around 12:49 that he left the lot the last time. From there, proceeded up to the Clifton neighborhood.
And where was Deputy Henderson working on this day?
He was engaged in traffic control duties. There were graduations at the University of Cincinnati that day, and so there was a large volume of traffic in the area. And so he was controlling traffic and assisting pedestrians. He was wearing a sheriff's deputy uniform.
Were you able to retrieve any video from any stationary cameras or mobile cameras?
We had one camera that was a fixed camera. That camera captured them turning from Clifton Avenue onto West Martin Luther King Drive. We also had the opportunity to view camera from a vehicle that was in traffic, and it did capture the incident.
Okay.
From here, the investigator walks through what he says Rodney did after he spotted Sheriff Larry Henderson on that street corner.
He pulled into that center lane, the median turns into the turn lane, and stopped. There were no other cars in front of him at that point, no obstructions. The vehicle accelerated quickly, crossed into the oncoming lanes of traffic, went to the left through the intersection, directly at where Deputy Henderson was standing, struck Deputy Henderson and the metal utility pole on the northeast corner of the intersection.
Were there any evidence of skid marks?
No, there were no indications at any point that he tried to brake, stop, or otherwise avoid Deputy Henderson. Deputy Henderson was launched several feet through the air. He came to rest in a turn lane several feet from where the collision occurred.
Was there anyone who was in the car with the defendant?
No, he was the sole occupant of the Ford Focus.
Okay, so is there any doubt that he was the driver and operator of that vehicle at that time?
No, none at all.
Rodney's attorney had the opportunity to do some cross-examination, but before he does, he offers prayers to Rodney's family and the deputy's family.
To offer on behalf of the Hinton family.
So that was the prosecution talking. So prosecution basically saying, yeah, he left, came back, end up on the street, found the officer, and basically he did this intentionally. The prosecution's trying to eliminate the use of insanity. So he's trying to eliminate that. He said, yeah, wasn't nobody with him. I didn't see no reason for why he tried to change it, where he would have changed his mind or anything like that, right? So he go his lawyer.
And myself, prayers to the Hinton family. prayers to the family of Larry Henderson, the fallen deputy, and I thank the court for having a fair assembly in the courtroom today. With that, I'd like to ask you a few questions, not a lot, okay? Do you know the mental history of Mr. Hinton?
No, I do not know detailed mental history.
Right. Do you know whether or not he's had any medically documented infirmities or conditions? Do you know that? You don't, do you?
No, I do not.
You also don't know his state of mind at the time of the incident near Burnham Woods and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. You don't know that either, do you? You think he intentionally did it?
And the evidence, yes.
Yeah. Are you familiar with acts of someone that is not in their right mind when they commit a criminal act? Acts that you object to that? Okay. You don't know whether or not he was in his right mind at the time that he encountered Deputy Henderson.
Don't object again, Your Honor.
Well,
asked and answered a couple times.
It's a different question. Judge, one of the factors with respect to the Ohio Revised Code and detaining a person with no bond is his mental condition. And in making that opinion about whether or not it's intentional, you need to know the mindset or the mens rea of the person that you're claiming intended to do this. Was he in his right mind? That's relevant with respect to your bond determination.
I'll sustain the objection.
I'm not saying that my client didn't try to intend to do this. That's not my position. One more question. You don't know his mindset at the time of the act, do you?
Like I stated previously, with the facts and circumstances surrounding him leaving our office, he was emotionally distraught, and they were concerned about him driving.
No further questions, Judge.
So it's very clear the defense here is insanity. They're not saying Rodney didn't commit this crime. They're saying he was mentally ill, which may also be why when the judge asked if Rodney wanted to say anything, his attorney very clearly said no.
You do recognize that under the statute that the court must allow the defendant to make a statement at this hearing if he wishes.
That is my understanding, and that's a right I don't wish to exercise on behalf of my client. I don't want him to speak.
Is that right, Mr. Hinton? All right, thank you so much.
In closing, the state says that Rodney should be denied bond because he continues to pose a risk to other law enforcement officers, the community, and himself. And they also go over his prior criminal history.
So, Your Honor, in 2017, there was a domestic violence charge where the defendant pled guilty to disorderly conduct. In 2019, there was an assault conviction out of Hamilton County. And then I believe there was an assault conviction out of Middletown from 2023 and an aggravated menacing conviction out of Middletown from that same court. So that's his prior.
Rodney's attorney, on the other hand, emphasizes the need for Rodney's safety and the need for some help with his mental health.
What I would like to do, I want to make certain that this young man is treated as a mentally ill person and not as a cop killer. I don't think he was a cop killer. I think he was not in his right mind. And I think he should be treated like any other mentally ill person that commits a crime under the auspices, control, and authority of a mental defect in a condition. That's what we have in this case. Strong family ties. His family retained me.
So his attorney is not court appointed. They paid for him.
He lives with his significant other and his children. There is a giant mental health issue. And I would ask that whatever bond, whether it's a no bond or a monetary bond, I would ask that it be coupled with or inclusive of a requirement that he have mental health treatment. I was physically present with the defendant over the weekend. I think he has mental issues. I think the conduct in question is classic mental illness criminal conduct. It's always intentional, it's bold, and it's conspicuous. No intent to hide what they did because they think that what they're doing is right, and they think that what they're doing is right because they're not in their right frame of mind.
And then the judge makes his ruling.
I cannot recall, either in experience or outside experience, a case that I've ever seen like this. Based upon the state's comments, I find it very difficult to figure out how there could be any decision based on what they said that would protect the public and the defendant under these circumstances. This is the most unusual case.
I don't disagree with you, Judge, with respect to the no bond.
Thank you so much. There will be an order of remand with no bond. Please assure the safety of the defendant and any mental health treatment that can be granted. No bond.
All right. So yeah, I just wanted to run that through so y'all can get the gist of what's going on. So once again, you see all those officers showed up. They intentionally did that. His family also showed up, and now people got to get pushed out the courtroom, right? But y'all see what's going on. And the reason why we're addressing this is because, like I said, there's people that are on this side of it and on that side of it saying, okay, I agree with what he did, or I empathize with him or sympathize with him, right? And then there's people that's like, nah, he was dead wrong for that. He was wrong for that. Because he unalived an officer that wasn't. He unalived an officer that wasn't the officer that unalived his son. He unalived a random officer. And so people are in disagreement with that, right? But then there's also people that saying, hey, look, you took his, he took one of y'all. Basically, eye for an eye, right? So we're addressing this. Absolutely, excellent attorney.
Yeah,
that brother, that brother said, hey, he need to be safe. And actually, the first court date, or the first court appearance that he had, the judge may emphasize like, hey, look, he needs to be in a safe environment. He said that like 3 or 4 times. I should have had that clip up there too. But he said it like 3 or 4 times. He said, I want y'all to make sure that he's safe in a safe environment, because he's seen all these officers that were surrounding him. He already know what goes down in the jail. Y'all get him back there and you know what I'm saying, beat him half to death.
Yeah.
Right? Or make it seem like he committed suicide. You see what I'm saying? So the judge already knew what was going on. But that's why we touching on this right here, because this situation is a unique situation, but it's not unique compared to there's other situations in a broad spectrum where your brother might do something that you might not necessarily agree with, right? Or you put like this, you don't agree with. You don't agree with, my bad. You don't agree with, and what should you do, right? Or you might agree with, but what should you do? How should you feel, right? Let me pull this off the thing right quick. Okay, so first and foremost, let's go to Matthew 18 and 21. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. And if y'all feel like jumping in there, feel free. Handle your business. Handle your business.
Yeah, that attorney up there, that's Clyde Bennett, man. He one of the best attorneys up here in the state of Ohio.
Oh yeah. Brother Abadati is up there where the situation's going on.
Yeah, I'm sick of it, man.
Yeah, I know that's real. Y'all just had the folks, the KKK, you know what I'm saying, marching down there.
Yeah, that was up in my neighborhood.
Right. He
They
said
knew better to come up there, man. They knew better to come up there, man.
Right. What the brother said, he responded appropriately and in good time to the judge's direct question to him. His lawyer should have forewarned that the judge might do that. Oh yeah, absolutely. That lawyer, I mean, the fact that he got a brother for a lawyer, you know, I'm sure the lawyer is sympathizing with him, you know what I'm saying, and basically has his best interest at heart, not just because he's getting paid, but because he see that he's a brother, right? But like I said, sometimes your brothers or your sisters might do something that you don't necessarily agree with. Sometimes, like this situation, sometimes there's people that's like, look, he shouldn't have unalived this random cop. So there's situations where you might be like, I'm with you, but you just did something that I really don't agree with, right? So when is enough enough? When is there a good time to reject your brother or your sister and then side with your oppressor or whoever, right? Bring it out, King.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times. Yahushua said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
Right. So first and foremost, you're supposed to forgive your brother 70 times 7, an unlimited amount of time. You continually forgive your brother. You continually try to receive your brother Unless your brother try to reject you, right? Go ahead,
Hold
King.
on, I don't want you said your brother or the heathen.
Your brother.
Okay, my bad.
And another Israelite.
My bad.
You continually receive and forgive your brother, your sister. You continually receive them, right? So look, let's go to y'all got anything on that?
Nah.
Shoot.
Okay.
Man, I'm gonna let you cook out of one. We gonna get into that, dog. I'm gonna let you cook that, dog, because I'm trying to make sure my response well calculated. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna tell you straight up, like I ain't got no sympathy for none of these heathens, man.
Right.
And I'm just,
Hey, I feel you. Hey, and we getting off into it. You know what I'm saying?
Don't cook out of one, because I'm trying to make sure my response is well calculated, man.
Yeah, kind.
Bro.
Okay. Let's go to John 18:10. John 18:10. Because that's another reason why I let that little footage play all the way through, so you can kind of understand, you know, what's going on, right? Understand really what happened with the brother, right? To be able to make a what's the word for it? I guess you could say not necessarily a decision, but basically you can see what was going on in that brother's mind in that moment, right? Bring it out, King.
The book of John, chapter 18, verse 10. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus.
It said what? Read it again.
Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus.
So Peter cut off the right ear of the was it the high priest?
Yeah, the high priest's servant.
Can you read?
Then said Yahushua unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath, and cup which my Father hath given me. Shall I not drink it? Then the band and the captains and the officers of the Jews took Yahushua and bound him and led him away to Ananias. Ananias spoke.
So they came to arrest Yahushua. Obviously, the disciples love Yahushua, right? They came to arrest him. Peter like, you ain't doing nothing. He took the sword, cut the man's ear off. What Christians do is they use that situation as a way to say, turn the other cheek. Don't do nothing. Don't do nothing, right? But Yahushua, go back to verse verse 11.
And Yahushua said unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath, and the cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it?
He's asking him, put your sword up, because what the Lord predestined for me to do, shall I not do it? Is what he's asking. So he didn't tell him to put his sword up because he didn't want him going against the enemy, because he didn't want him defending him, because you see what I'm saying? He didn't tell him to put a sword up for that reason. He told him to put a sword up because this has to happen. I came so that I can do this. So this has to happen, right? But Christians use that as a way, like, whenever somebody's doing something to you, you turn the other cheek. If it's your oppressor, you turn the other cheek. It's basically, you just basically take mess off of them. But that's not what was going on, okay? So in this situation, I brought this up because this is somebody that Peter loved. Peter wanted to defend him. Peter said, no, you ain't. Got his sword, cut the man's ear off. That's what the brother did with his son. That's what he did with his son. He felt like, you harm my son, I'm going to harm you. That's what Peter did in that moment for Yahushua, right? Even though Yahushua told him to yield, but Peter loved Yahushua, so this is what he did, right? All right, let's go to Exodus 2 and 12. Exodus verse 11. Exodus 2 and 11.
You in the spirit, because I definitely was going up.
When Moses whooped on the Egyptian. Yeah. The book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out into his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren.
He spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren, right? Can you read?
And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
So Moses seeing a random Hebrew being beat on by an Egyptian, right? Moses seen a random Hebrew being beat on by an Egyptian, and he went and slew the Egyptian, right? Moses loved his people. Okay, that's another example, right? Moses defended his brother against the Egyptian. Okay, let's go to Exodus 11:7. Exodus 11:7. Moses defended his brother against the Egyptian, right? Then you see Peter defending Yahushua against the Romans and Judas. So
the book of
go ahead, you good.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So look, check this out, right? The Most High said, against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue. See, this is the thing, right? We just read the example of Moses unaliving the Egyptian for his brethren. He put his hands on his brother. But the Most High said, no, you better not even open your mouth up about an Israelite. You violating even talking about an Israelite. Moses seen somebody putting their hands on another Israelite and unalived them. But the Most High said, no, they better not even say nothing negative about an Israelite. Them or the Israelites' animals. You can't even talk about the animals of the Israelites. Read that again, King.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So the Most High made a difference between the Egyptians and the Israelites, but he said, you better not open your mouth up about the Israelites.
That's right.
Right? Let alone put your hands on them. Let alone unalive them. Right? So I could see where the brother was coming from. This is this man's son, right? I could see where the brother was. This is his man. This is this man's son. But still, you have people that don't see where the brother's coming from. Like they understand the perspective of, yes, this was your son, but there's a way to do it, right? They understand the perspective of this was his son, but they feel as though he should have did this differently, right? All right, let's go to 1 Samuel 30 and 5. 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 5. Yeah, the brother could have done it differently, right? He could have, but he didn't. Okay, and when they don't do things, when our brothers and sisters don't do things that are in a way that we would have done it, and we feel as though they went too far, when is the cutoff period? When is the time of cutoff? When do we get tired of that? When do we say you went too far? All right, bring it out, King.
Oh. Yeah, 30 and 5.
Yeah, Con.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 30, verse 5. And David's 2 wives were taken captives. Ahinoam,
the Jezreelites, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. So check this out. You good, King? That's why I went on here and did it. You good? Check this out. So now we talking about David. David's wives were taken captives, right? So keep reading on that, King.
And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his Yahweh.
Keep going.
And David said to Abiathar, the priest, Ahimelech's son, the water, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them?
So notice, David's wives were taken. David's wives were taken, and David's wives were taken, and David proceeded to seek the Lord for guidance. Right? David sought out guidance from the Most High God. Right? And Shalom. So keep reading, King.
And he answered him, pursue, for thou surely overtake them, and without fail recover all.
The Most High told him, oh yeah, definitely pursue them, overtake them, and you're gonna recover everything that they took. The Most High told him to do that. But notice, he sought after the guidance of the Most High, right? Which means the brother had to be in the good graces of the Most High. He had to be living according to the Most High's will for him to even seek after the guidance of the Most High, right? We already know the Most High don't hear the prayers of a sinner, okay? So first and foremost, the brother had to be living according to the Most High's will. So he sought out the guidance of the Most High before he even made a move. All right, keep reading, King.
So David went, he and 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook of Besor. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread.
Skip down. Well, you can keep reading because it's going to give context. They found the Egyptian. Keep going.
Gave him bread and he did eat. And they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drink any water, nor drunk any water, 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou? And whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant of Amalekite, Shlakia. And my master left me because 3 days agone I fell sick. He made an invasion upon the south of the Shurites. And
so basically what's going on? David and his soldiers ran into the Egyptian. The Egyptian was left. He had got sick and fell, and he was a servant to the Amalekites. And his master, which was an Amalekite, left him because he was sick. So David and his soldiers ran into him and asked him who he was, where he came from, right? Keep reading what you had, King.
He made an invasion upon the south of the Cherubites and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and were burned Ziklag with fire.
So the Egyptian is giving the details of what took place. He said, we made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. All right, keep reading.
And David said to him, canst thou bring me down to his company? And he said, swear unto my God that thou wilt neither kill me, nor deliver me unto the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to his company. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread about upon the earth, all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because all the great spoil they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah.
Mm-hmm.
And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode upon camels and fled.
So the troops that took his wives, David and his troops, the Egyptian took David and his troops to where those troops were at, and they smote them. They unalived them, right? Keep reading.
And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives.
Stop right there. So David inquired of the Most High, what should I do? How should I handle this? The Most High told him, go and get your wives, basically, and you're going to be successful doing it. But David sought out the guidance of the Most High. Okay? Right? So let's go to Luke 14:1. Luke 14:1. So we go into these different instances where it's basically a brother was offended by a heathen. A brother was offended. Well, all 3 of them was heathens, except for Judas in that situation. But a brother was offended by heathens, and they basically took vengeance in their own hands. And so we see the situation where David talked to the Most High. Peter didn't talk to Yahushua before he did what he did. Moses didn't talk to the Most High before he did what he did. But we see these situations where this took place because of the love for their brethren. David's situation was his wife, which was still that those are other Israelites, right? And in the situation with this brother in Cincinnati, this was his son, right? So bring that out, King. Luke 14:1.
The book of Luke, chapter 14, verse 1. And it came to pass, as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahushua answering spake unto him the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day?
So check this out, right? It's the Sabbath day, right? Which means this is a restriction. This is a restriction going on, meaning a restriction of things you can do on the Sabbath, of course, we know, right? And it says in Yahushua, and Yahushua answered and spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? For instance, was it lawful for the brother to take vengeance in his hands to defend his son? Right?
And they held their peace. And he took him and healed him and let him go. And answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day?
So people are in disagreement with how the brother handled that situation about his son. But which of you would have had a child that was unalive, and you know for a fact that you wouldn't have did the same thing? You can't say that the brother was in the wrong when you don't know how you would have reacted in that situation. This was this man's child, right? But keep reading, King.
God. And they could not answer him again to these things.
Mm-hmm.
And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when thou art bidden of any man of a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him.
When thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down at the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. Right? Keep reading.
And he that bade thee, and him come and say to thee, give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room.
Mm-hmm.
But when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room. And when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher, then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee.
Here's the point.
For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
Don't put yourself above that brother that did what he did. You can't put yourself above that brother that did what he did. Because if it was your child, what would you have done? What would you have done? You don't know what emotions would have been going through your mind. You don't know how you would have been feeling. So you can't down that brother because of how he handled that situation. We can't say that brother was in the wrong. That's why I use those other examples to show you that out of emotion, Peter cut the man's ear off. Out of emotion, Moses unalived the Egyptian. Out of emotion, David went, to save his wives, although he sought out the advice of the Most High. Right? And in this situation right here, Yahushua said, who ain't gonna pull their animal out of a ditch on the Sabbath day? Who ain't gonna do that? Right? It's back in verse 5, it said, which of you shall have an ass or an ox falling into a pit and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? Every last one of y'all will. So don't exalt yourself above this brother and say that he's in the wrong. Don't be quick to say, oh, look. You know what? He done went too far. He need to be locked up. I'm sorry, brother. See, this is the thing. The question is, when is it time to cut your brother off? When is it time to say, look, hey, you on your own now? When is it time to say that? When it's time to say that is when you're not moving according to the will of the Most High. When your brother or your sister is not moving according to God's will, keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments, even if their actions don't make sense, if they're keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments, and they did something out of emotion in that moment, like the brother did, you don't discard your brother because you don't agree with how they took care of that situation. You don't discard your sister. You don't turn your back on them, right? That's why Yahushua used them, the brothers that were the brothers that was talking. He used them as an example. Which one of y'all wouldn't do this, right? You don't turn your back on your brother if they moving according to God's will. Now, if there's a situation where your brother or your sister is out doing sinful works, they're doing sinful acts, they went out in the streets and they decided to rob somebody, and then they they got messed up, then that's something different. They out there cutting up. That's judgment right there, because they doing something they ain't got no business. But this man, this is this man's son. This is this man's son. People will call what he did as murder. But is it really? He defended the life of his son. He defended his son. He avenged his son is the word for it. He avenged his son. Right? What they did was murder. They initialized it. Right? And when are you supposed to turn your back on another Israelite for your oppressor? Never.
Never.
Never. There's never a good reason. There's never a good reason to turn your back on an Israelite for your oppressor. There's never a good reason. Now, there are good reasons for if your brother or your sister is cutting up so bad to where they trying to harm you, harm your life, right? That's something different. You call the folks on. That's different. You got to call the folks on. They cutting up like, hey, do what you got to do. But when you see your brother like in this situation, I see my brother and then did what he did. Oh, he did that. He was avenging his son. I'm not finna. No, that's my brother. If you would have did that to my son, ain't no telling how I would have reacted. So for people to say the brother was in the wrong for his reaction, it don't make sense. And it's people online talking about, well, yeah, hey, he was dead wrong for that because I could no. Let's go to Zechariah 11:5. Let's go Zechariah 11:5. It's never a good time to turn your back on your brothers. And another reason why is because the same people that you turn your back on your brother for are the same people that don't turn their back on each other, regardless of if they right or wrong. They don't do that to theirs. It don't matter if they're in the right or in the wrong. They're not going to turn their back on another person that looks just like them. They're going to have their back regardless. But with us, it got to be a conversation. We got to have a conversation about it. We got to reason and figure this out. No, you got to get to the point where you looking at a situation like, if that's an Israelite and that's a non-Israelite, regardless of what nation that non-Israelite come from, if that's an Israelite, I got their back regardless. I don't care if they was in the wrong. That's an Israelite. You got to get to the point where you feel like that. Right? Bring it out, King.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
See that? It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. So guess what? One of my people violate against somebody that's a non-Israelite. Oh, they not guilty. They're not guilty. Not in my eyes. They're not guilty. I'm sorry. You got to. If you don't have the mind frame like that, you need to be getting that mind frame, because ain't nobody thinking about us like that. Just like they ask us when all this situation was going on with Palestine and who it was Israel and Palestine. They asking who you with, what side you on, what about Palestine, what about Israel? Is any of them going around asking about what about black people? Are they asking Israelis, how do you feel about black people? Do you have black people back? Are you looking out for them? Are they going around asking Palestinians, what do you think about black people and how they've been mistreated? They're not asking each other that. They're not concerned with you. So I don't care. It says whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Listen, my brother and my sister is innocent regardless. I don't care. I don't care. You an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're doing some stuff you ain't got no business and then you go out there and mess up, hey, that's judgment from the Most High.
That's right.
Right? But if you moving, you ain't doing sinful works. If you're not doing sinful works, hey, I got your back 100% every time. Right. Every time. Right? Grab this piece up and then I'm gonna let I think brother Mathanya got something. Grab Ezekiel 35:5. I'm gonna let Mathanya go and get it now. You got to get in your mind that Israelite is Israel or nothing. You got to get in your. There's never a good time to take your oppressor side. Never, because your oppressor don't do that for us. The oppressor don't do that for us. You might have individuals here and there that might be saying this, saying that, but collectively they don't do that. Collectively they don't do that. Right? Bring it out, King.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword.
Perpetual hatred. Perpetual hatred. What does that mean? Everlasting. Perpetual means everlasting. Because they have had an everlasting hatred. Right? Can you read?
By the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Seest thou have not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
So the Most High said, because they've had a perpetual hatred towards the children of Israel, he said he got judgment coming for them. Right? But I wanted to bring attention to the fact that they have perpetual hatred. These people have perpetual hatred towards you and your people. How are you going to ever have a time where you thinking, well, I agree with my oppressor this time? How do you ever feel like that? How can you ever feel like that? The Bible says these people have a perpetual hatred towards you and your people. Get this through your head. They have a perpetual. This is what the Bible says. Don't sit here and say, well, all of them ain't bad. You got different individuals of them that might seem cool. But just like Malcolm X said, it's one thing to be friendly. And it's one thing to be a friend. These people are not your friend. They are friendly at times, right? The scripture, your friend is the people of your nation, your brethren, your sisters, right? So the scripture says they have a perpetual hatred, right? So if you on the offense, if I know somebody is on the offense 100% of the time, that puts me either I'm gonna be on the offense 100% of the time, or I'm gonna be on the defense 100% of the time. If they steady coming at me, I'm not gonna just do nothing, right? Because if you're on the defense, you blocking. If you on the offense, you swinging just like they swing, right? But to stand there and do nothing and say, "Well, I guess they're right," you finna get knocked out, right? So this, by them having a perpetual hatred, they're on the offense. They're everlasting. They're on the offense 100% of the time. So 100% of the time, I'm gonna have my people's back. I'm gonna have my people's back all the time, right? I don't want to hear nothing from them about my people because I know y'all have a perpetual hatred towards mine. Regardless of what we do, it don't matter if we in the right or wrong. We always wrong to you. So you got to get it in your head that this is your people, regardless, right? Even if my people messing up, I'm gonna tell you, even if my people is messing up, and it's them against the heathen, it's my people for me all day long. I'm sorry. I am sorry. And this is the love that you got to have for your people. Because I love mine. I love my people. I think you're on mute, King. I don't know if you're trying to say something.
I said that brother in the spirit.
Straight up. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that type of love for your people. And that's what Christ was trying to teach. Christians say that he was trying to teach the gospel, which he was. But they don't understand what the gospel was that he was teaching. The gospel was he was teaching you to keep God's law, statutes, and commandments first and foremost. But he was trying to get our people to have the love that we need to have for our people while keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And that's why that took place in Luke 14, my bad. Luke 14. Saying, look, yes, we got to observe the Sabbath day, but which one of y'all wouldn't get your animal out the ditch? Have compassion on your brother. If his animal fell in the ditch, you would get yours too, right? So that's how we need to see this, right? You need to get in there. Go ahead, get in there, King. Do you think?
Let me get Deuteronomy 32:7 real quick. You know, because I don't want in the spirit, man. You know, the reason that I could never have any compassion or sympathy, you know, for these people, man, is because they've never had any sympathy for my people.
Right.
You know, just like the brother was just bringing out, they don't get together and have councils and stuff and say, now, man, well, maybe we should treat them better.
Right. They don't.
The leaders and the powers that be don't come together and say, maybe we should stop oppressing them.
Right.
They don't do that, bro. They trying to figure out a way to keep you niggas sleep, man.
Mm-hmm.
To put more and more money into god doggone keeping you brothers and sisters in a docile state so y'all don't figure out who y'all are, man. Mm-hmm. Y'all don't understand the war that's at hand, man. When I see people online talking about if you think that this was justifiable, unfollow me, you lost, brother. You're not going to make it.
Right.
And we don't want you around us in that day when things hit the fan because you're going to tell the so-called white man in these nations what we are, man.
That's right.
You ain't built for what's to come, huh? Bring that out of Deuteronomy 32:7 real quick.
The book of Slacky, man. I was there that fast. Dang, Slacky, man. Anybody there?
Yeah, Deuteronomy 32:7.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee.
See that? And history doesn't lie, man. History doesn't lie. I can recall what my father told me about, you know, how the KKK had came by the house and drove by and shot the gun, you know what I'm saying, in my grandfather's direction. This information my grandfather passed down to my father passed down to me. That's how we go to keep it, man. Because we should never forget who our enemy is. These people are our enemy. They have raped, robbed, murdered, pillaged, colonized, and did all manners of evil in the earth. You should never be siding with your oppressor, man.
Right.
Right? And this is the thing. When grief and emotion takes over a man, it's no telling what he'll do, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's no telling what somebody would do for losing the love of their life, man. This is this man's son, this man's seed.
Mm-hmm.
This is him. Didn't it say in Sirach, I believe that Sirach chapter, when you raising up your son, basically you raising up a person like yourself. That's Sirach 30:1. Let's bring it out real quick. Sirach chapter 31, roughly paraphrasing.
The book of Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 30, verse 1. He that loveth his son causes him to oft feel, Shlakia. He that loveth his son causes him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy.
Read verse 4.
Con. Through his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he have left one behind that is like himself.
See that? So that man feel like part of him died, man. When these doggone heathens took his son, man.
Right.
So we can't sit up here and say, well, he was wrong or whatever, man. These heathens don't never think that, man. And you reap what you sow. That's what the scripture saying in Galatians 6 and 7. Bring it out real quick, Galatians 6 and 7. You reap what you sow, man. I'm sure these cops done killed unarmed blacks unjustly, man.
Right.
You reap this in the earth, man. I read a comment from a sister that was in the spirit, man. The sister said, I knew it was going to come a time where you going to kill the wrong person's son, man.
Mm-hmm.
You going to kill the wrong person's child, man. And maybe if you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American men would act in this manner every time instead of having so much hostility toward each other, maybe these people will start to question what they do to you, man.
That's right.
Maybe they will start to question what they do to you, man. But we don't have that camaraderie with each other, man. Bring that out, King. Galatians 6 and 7. I don't want to give me Isaiah 13 and verse 14.
The book of Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
And these people have reaped murder in the earth, man. I meant to say sown unjust killings in the earth, man. Well, you don't think the people that you've unjustly killed time after time after time is eventually gonna get tired of that, man?
Right.
It's gonna eventually get tired of that, man. Come on, man. I don't have no sympathy, man, toward nobody but my people, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just tell you straight, man. I don't have no empathy or sympathy to nobody but my people because we need it the most, man.
Right.
The atrocities and things like that have happened to our people. These people can't even scratch the surface of what happened to our people.
Shalakia, what's that precept? What's that precept that says there's nothing been done like unto Jerusalem? There's nothing been done to another nation like unto Jerusalem.
That's Daniel chapter 9, man. We can get that. Daniel chapter 9. Read that real quick in Isaiah 13 and 14. I'm gonna look for that in Daniel.
Con. Hey, you in the spirit, because I was gonna go ahead too. This is Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 14. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land.
When are you gonna be worried about your own people, man? I can't stand a coon, man. I can't stand nobody that is worried about everybody. Everybody don't need worrying about, man.
Right.
Learn to be concerned about your own people. That's how these other nations are, man. The Chinese man don't care nothing about you, bro. They don't want to hire you. They don't want you around them. They hire their own people, man.
Right.
When are you gonna be like that about your people, man? Our people are we. Sometimes I be thinking, but the Most High actually said it, so I don't have to. The Most High said, "You Israelites are a sottish people, man."
Mm-hmm.
And sottish means stupid, man.
Mm.
You concerned about everybody but yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to be for your own people, man.
Right.
The chunk is mad weird, man. That we always worried about everybody else and concerned. I think we ought to look and have more empathy. We don't have no empathy. The Israelites ain't moving in that spirit, man.
Right.
Found it in Daniel 9 and 12.
Yep. Starting at verse 11. Yep.
The book of Daniel, I can read both of them. The book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 11. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice, Slakia. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, because we have sinned against him.
Right. So we sinned against the Most High, read.
And he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem.
See that? And I was thinking about that scripture too. Abadati in the spirit, man.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? They can't scratch the surface of what's been done to our people, man.
Right.
You had something, Abadati?
Nah, I was just giving all praise to Yahbashim Yahushua.
I'll praise to Yahbashim Yahushua. Give me John 15 and verse 13.
And precept.
Give me that John 15 and verse number 13.
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Hey, that's the greatest love you can do, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest love you can do. And it's the thing, that father risked it all. He risked his whole life for his son, man. I'm gonna they done laid my son life down. I'm gonna lay my life down for my son. Then.
That's right.
Now that's real love, man. This father is built up with emotion and grief, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he took out the first one he saw. He ain't worried about if that's him or not.
Right.
The enemy has to pay. He's seen the enemy. And that's how you so-called coonish, so-called blacks need to start seeing these people, man. Because that's how they see y'all.
Right.
That's the doggone enemy, man. And that's what the Bible say. The Bible calls them your enemy. Mm-hmm. But again, we don't. Y'all don't subscribe to the Bible. Y'all only subscribe to the Bible when it fits your narrative, man.
Mm-hmm.
When it fits whatever point you're trying to bring out, that's when you subscribe to the Bible. Y'all need to wake up, man. It's time to wake out of sleep, man. Let's get that in our yield, man. What is that? Romans 12 and 10?
I didn't hear you say that. Romans 12 and 10.
I
didn't hear that. Shalak.
Romans 12 and nah, that ain't it. Bring your precept out of one.
Oh yeah, come. It's precept to back of what you read in Daniel 9, where it said there's nothing that been done to any nation like it's been done to Israel, right? And for that reason, Jeremiah 30 and 16, it said, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
See that?
It says all of our adversaries, every one of them, because you got people pushing doctrine saying, well, some of them, it says every one of them will go into captivity for putting their hands on God's people. Yeah, ain't nobody been touched like how we've been touched, misused and abused, dogged out like how we've been dogged out. But that's why every last one of our adversaries will go into captivity.
That's right.
Yeah, we serve a just God. I yield.
Come on. Hey, that sound like justice, man.
Right.
That don't sound like justice.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Romans 13:11. I yield.
The book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we believe.
So it's time for you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to wake the hell up, man, and stop cooning and loving on your damn enemy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up, man. Like, when are you gonna smell the aroma in the air, man?
Smell the
that these people hate you, man.
Right.
What do they have to do? I don't understand, man. You see history, you see what's going on in modern day times, right? You see it, and it hadn't changed since the beginning of time. It's our people, man. We just gotta wake up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta wake up, man. But I yield with that, King.
Back at Jeremiah 30:17, it says, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after." The Most High said He gonna heal us of our wounds. This is the type of stuff we got to deal with. Just like the brother brought out, that man was willing to lay down his life for his child. Do you think I condemn that brother for that? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Check this out, right? Got another clip real quick. Now this clip is she ain't talking. It's number music. So I muted the music so they won't trip on the live. But it got a caption. So look, check this out, right? Check this out. You see what's going on? Watch this. She said clearly they did not get or chose to ignore the memo. Look, it says protesters arrested after May Day rally and march in Philly, right? It was nothing but YT people out there. It said thousands and thousands of European Americans and others. And they somehow found 2 black women in that massive crowd, right? I hear screams of solidarity, but you know what I don't hear? I don't hear anyone screaming for those women to be released. You know what I don't see? I don't see any European Americans shielding them because they don't care about us. I searched and I don't see any European Americans in zip ties being paraded through the crowd. You know what I don't feel for those black women? I don't feel anything if you insist on falling for their BS. You deserve exactly what you get. Sit your black head down and mind your black ass business.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Hey, man, I was just sitting here thinking that same thing. Like they ain't had no business with their butts out there.
They ain't got you ain't got no business getting involved in your oppressors' matters. That's between them. That's like you and your brother having an issue, and then somebody on the outside stepping in trying to take one of y'all side. Both of y'all finna beat up on them. You ain't got no business stepping off in the matters of your oppressor. They beefing with each other, right? Let me go back to Isaiah 13. Go back to Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13 and now 14. This is what we read earlier, but I'm gonna read it again. And it shall be as a chase row, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, that every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. This is what's gonna happen. Everyone's gonna go to their own people anyway. So why are you concerned with them? Verse 15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. This is they failed. They didn't fall by the sword, but they failed, right? Getting involved in your oppressors' matters, trying to vouch for your oppressor. I done seen it so many times. People with these MAGA hats, people that's siding with their oppressor, and then when they in distress or in trouble, they look to their oppressors for help, and their oppressors turn their back on them. They don't have no compassion for you. They don't care about you, right? And this right here, I'm about to play this clip. This is the reason why it's never a time that I say, well, the oppressor's right when it comes to my people. It's never a time, because this proves to you right here that they have a perpetual hatred towards you.
Woman who's hurled racial slurs at an autistic child, a black autistic child at a park, a place where children and families go to feel safe and to have fun and relax, that she hurled racial slurs and the N-word at him repeatedly. And not only did she not see any consequences to her actions, she has been rewarded. She has been handsomely rewarded with donations now reaching like over $600,000, almost $700,000. I wish I was surprised, but we've known this all along. We've known that the people who cry the most about teaching children about racism and critical race theory in schools, and we shouldn't teach children about racism, it's such an ugly, horrible thing. Well, they obviously don't care, because this lady taught racism to a 5-year-old at a fucking park. They've never cared. They never will care. And another thing I'm not even remotely surprised about is that the vast majority of all those donations she's getting are all anonymous. Anonymous donor, anonymous donation. The anonymous donation is now just the modern day white hood.
She said the people that be crying and all that are them. They always crying about, racism and all this and that. They always got something sad to say. Don't be racist. They tell us that we be racist, that we're racist. They tell us not to mistreat them when they've been doing it to us for decades and centuries on top of centuries, right? They always want us to have pity for them when we're the ones that's oppressed. But see, let's go to Sirach chapter 12. Sirach chapter 12 in verse go to verse 10.
The book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
It says never trust thine enemy, right? Keep going.
Though he humble himself and go crouching.
Though he humble himself and go crouching. Or though they start crying. Though they start calling you the racist. Though they try to act like the victim. Right? And the word for that actually is called victim blaming. Victim blaming is what they do. They try to make you seem like you're the oppressor when you call them out on their wickedness. Right? Keep reading, King. Though he go crouching, or though he start crying, or calling you the hate group, or calling you the one that's oppressing, or saying that you being racist. Keep going.
Yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
Right. So it says don't trust your enemy regardless, because in the back of their mind, they know that they're still your enemy, right? Go to keep reading on that, matter of fact.
Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
It says set him not by thee, stay away from him. This is the Bible talking. Y'all act like when we say this, it's something wrong with us. The Bible is saying this. It says set him not by you. It basically saying stay away from him. Leave him alone. They over there, let them stay over there. Right? Keep going.
He stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith.
Right. You can stop there. I'm let me share my screen real quick. Hold up. All right. So victim blaming. Y'all see that? Victim blaming occurs when the victim of a crime or wrongful act is held partially or entirely at fault for the harm that befell them. It is the practice of saying or implying that a person who has suffered harm or injury is responsible for it, rather than the person who caused the harm or injury. This phenomenon is a way for individuals or groups to cope with bad events by assigning blame to the victim. Y'all see that?
Wow.
That's what they do. That's this victim blaming.
Don't forget the tears.
Yeah. They try to put it off on us and call us. You can't call us racist. You've done everything that you've done to our people, and then you want me to take your side when you've unalived this brother's son, and in his emotion, he took out one of y'all? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to. I'm not going to take your side. I'm not going to take your side. You're lucky he just did that. You're lucky he didn't take time and be more calculated with it.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm not gonna take your side. I'm not gonna take this side. I'm not gonna call the brother wrong at all. Right? So with that being said, is there ever a time that you throw your hands up with your brother and sister and take the side of your oppressor? Never. There's never a time. But is there a time where you say, well, like for instance, your brother or sister is wicked, and they do something and something happens to them? That's judgment. They wicked. That's judgment. But I wouldn't necessarily turn my back on them. But I'm gonna put it like this: I wouldn't turn my back on my brother or sister that's wicked if they suffer some type of judgment, because that judgment could be the way to turn them to the Most High. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't turn my back on them. But for instance, if they had to go to jail for a while because of some stuff they done did, then they just got to go to jail for a while. You know what I'm saying? They get in some trouble. Because they was out there being wicked, then it is what it is. But to totally turn my back on my brother or sister, I ain't doing that. I'm not gonna do it. For my oppressor, no, I'm not gonna do it. Now, if you harm another Israelite,
yeah,
you an Israelite and you harm another Israelite, right?
Yeah, I ain't got you back.
You got problems.
Yeah.
You got problems, right? But a heathen against my brother? Oh, never. I'm never gonna take the side of a heathen. So have patience with your brother. Have patience with your sister. Understand that if you was look at it like if you were in their shoes, and that's what Yahushua did when he brought out the fact that, hey, would you pull your animal out of a ditch? So look at it as if you were in their shoes. Empathize with them, right? And take your time with your brother or sister. We still in captivity. We still have the curses on us, okay? So this is a learning curve for all of us until Yahushua get here. Matter of fact,
yet this day in our captivity, what precept is that? I know you want to bring that one out. I know you.
Is that Lamentations 4? Let me see.
4:17.
Yeah, 4:17. Yeah, come.
That's yet this day in our captivity.
Yeah, you can bring it out. And then let's go to Ezekiel 20.
Ezekiel 20. Bring that one out first.
Go to Ezekiel 20 and
Oh no, that ain't Lamentations.
No, that ain't. Yeah, that's
that's Baruch, I think.
Okay.
Ezekiel 20
3 and 8, I want to say.
So let me go to Ezekiel 20 and verse 20 and 34. It says, "And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, said the Lord. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord." So when we in the wilderness, that's when we're gonna go into the bond of the covenant. But I brought that out to say this is gonna be a learning curve. We're continually in this captivity until Yahushua come get us, and we're gonna be in this learning curve until we are in the wilderness and we're taught by Yahushua how we need to be living. Right? He said he's gonna plead with us the same way he pleaded with our fathers in the wilderness of Egypt. What did he do in the wilderness of Egypt? He didn't take no mess off of us, and the Most High told us what he wanted from us, and it was cut and dry, plain and simple. And that's what's gonna be happening when we're in the wilderness this time, right? You got your precept, King?
I don't want. I see it, but I don't see what one I'm actually looking for.
What'd you say you were looking for?
We are yet this day in our captivity. That was Baruch 4.
It's Baruch 3 and 8.
3 and 8.
Yeah.
God. The book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 8. Beloved, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our Yahweh.
Yeah, we're yet this day in our captivity. We are yet in captivity. We ain't free yet. Our people think they free. I'm an American citizen. You still in captivity, Jack? Yeah, you're an American citizen, but you're in captivity.
That's right.
All right. Did you want to elaborate on that, King?
Nah, you brought the other one. The water.
All right, come. All right, so cool. Let's go to the next topic. Because the next topic. Play this clip real quick.
Message from a girl that said that she has a 3-week-old baby with you. Stop what you're doing, because you have a 3-week-old baby boy that I had no idea about this whole time.
I understand how you might feel about it, but kids, you can't have kids. So what you expect me to do? Before you got married to me, you knew I wanted to
We have
kids.
talked about other alternatives, Nico.
I'm not trying to adopt nobody else's kids, kid. I told you that. I want my own.
So you go and cheat on me and have a baby with somebody else, and
we slept together one time, kid.
So you cheated.
She knew exactly what she was there for. I wanted to have a kid. I already talked to you about this. What you expect me to do? I'm not gonna go my whole life if I have kids.
Divorce me and go marry the person that
I'm
you
not
had a
going,
kid
I don't
with.
want to marry her. She knew I didn't.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, so basically the brother went and slept with somebody and got her pregnant. Okay. And the sister like, hold on, bro. What? You cheated and you got a baby on me. All right, so this situation, let's unpack this real quick. So in this situation, what I see is, he said, we talked about this before, right? But where he messed up at is, for one, he went and snuck off and did this, slept with his girl, right? Behind old girl back. So I'm seeing he messed up, right? Now, another place he messed up, if he knew that the girl couldn't get pregnant when he met her, then he should have already took that in consideration and left her alone. But we don't know what they talked about. He said they talked about this before. We don't know what they talked about. And she said he should have divorced her. So I'm assuming they married. So we don't know how. Maybe that the topic came up and she probably maybe said something like, no, we can probably do this, that, and the other. So I don't know what agreement they came up with. But yeah, he wrong for basically just popping up with a baby on the sister, right? For real, like he wrong, because it's like you being deceitful. You popping up with a baby, just you went and made a baby. Hey, guess what? Hey, got one on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's being deceitful, right? But she said, what she said was, well, you should have divorced me and went and did your thing, right? And he said, I didn't want to divorce you, right? He also messed up because he basically made it seem as though, yeah, we slept together one time and hey, it is what it is. No, brother. According to scripture, you lay with the woman, you got to keep her now.
Yeah.
You got to keep her now, bro. You know, so yeah, he messed up a couple different ways, but would it have been lawful for the brother to divorce his wife because he slept with another woman and made a baby? Would it have been lawful on his behalf for doing that? And would it have been lawful for her to leave him for doing that? If they husband and wife, right? Let's get some examples. Let's go to
See now, boy, you got some people getting out of line.
Oh, I mean, we gonna read the word. I ain't worried about that. We gonna read the word. If you in disagreement with the word, hey, that's what we do. We reading the Bible. You know what I'm saying? All right, so get 1 Samuel chapter 1. We're gonna read his word regardless. May the Lord's will be done. You know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua. Right? Yeah, bring it out, Ken. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. Now there was a certain man of say that for me. Ramathimizom.
Hold on. Let me get there.
Ramath. Help me out, Mathania.
I'm gonna help you. I got you. I think he
Ramathizophium.
Yeah.
That sounds like
Ramathim Zophim. Yeah.
Zophium of Mount Ephraim. And his name was Elkanah. Elkanah.
I'll read it till verse 2. Now there was a certain man of Ramathim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroam, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephrathite. An Ephrathite. Right? Keep reading.
And he had two wives. The name of one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Elihu, of Eli, Shlakia, of Ophni, and Phinehas, the priest of the Lord, were there. And when the time was with that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb.
So it said back at verse 2, it says, and he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship and sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah. But the Lord had shut up her womb. Right? Keep reading, verse 6.
And her adversary also provoked her sore.
Now, no, she called the other wife her adversary, but that's the man's other wife, right? Keep reading.
For to make her fret, because the Lord has shut up her womb. And as he did, so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah, her husband, to Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? I am not better than the 10 sons. But Hannah rose up after had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli, the priest, sat upon a seat by the post of the temple of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of the soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore.
So Hannah is praying unto the Lord because, you know what I'm saying, she couldn't get pregnant, right? She's being vexed by the man's other wife, right? Keep going.
And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look to the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thy handmaid, but wilt give thy handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, And Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. And Eli said,
go down to verse, let me see, go down to verse, let me see. Let's see. Where is it at? Go to chapter 2, verse 1.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 1. And Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiced in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoiced in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee, neither is thy rock like our Yahweh. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a Yahweh of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed.
Go to verse 20.
Okay. And Eli blessed Elkanah, his wife, and said, the Lord give thee seed of this woman for the loan which is lent to the Lord. And they went into their home.
So notice, matter of fact, read the next verse too.
And the Lord visited Hannah, so that she conceived and bare 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord.
So Hannah ended up being the mother of the prophet Samuel. The brother didn't leave his wife because she couldn't get pregnant. The Lord ended up blessing this woman to have 3 sons and 2 daughters, 5 children. Right? So basically what it's saying is it would have been unlawful for that brother to have left his wife because she can't get pregnant. Or if he went and got another woman pregnant, he still would have left his wife unlawfully, according to scripture. Right? And she would have left him unlawfully for him doing that. I know it sounds like it's unfair or whatever, but I'm reading according to scripture, not according to modern day terms. Of course, modern times, you know what I'm saying, it's different because people's, you know, what we've been exposed to, right? But according to scripture, that would have been a woman leaving her husband because he got another woman pregnant. That's not a lawful reason to leave your husband, right? Right, but this man had 2 wives, right? So what about a man that only has 1 wife, right? Would it have been unlawful then for this to take place? Go to Genesis chapter 16. Go to Genesis 16, and that's the point. I'm really giving the biblical evidence on this type of situation. See, Genesis 16 and 1.
I don't want you got all the sisters getting out alive.
Listen. It could be sisters, brothers. It could be whoever. If you're not in agreement with what's coming out in the scripture, there's nothing I can do about that. The Lord's word gonna come out. It's gonna come forth. We can't read everywhere and avoid other situations. We got to touch every situation that arises. Read Genesis 16 and 1, King.
The book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 1. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
So we already know Sarah couldn't bear children to Abraham. All right. Keep reading.
And Sarai said unto Abraham, behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarai.
So what'd she do? I can't get pregnant. Now, in their situation, I guess the conversation they had was adopting. Because he said, I don't want to adopt no kids. I want my own. But in Sarah and Abraham's situation, Sarah like, look, all right, go in unto Hagar and have kids. Right? Go do it that way. Right? She gave him a wife, but nowadays you can't pay our women to do that. Well, I ain't gonna say that. There's a lot of sisters that's down with polygyny. There's a lot of sisters that won't give you a hard time about it. But then there's a lot of sisters that will. But Sarah willingly just said, "Hey, look, okay, I can't get pregnant by you, but Hagar can, right?" Keep reading on that, King.
And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dealt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
So what is it? Gave her to her husband Abram to what?
To be his wife.
That's why I said the brother was going off by not keeping the woman that he laid with, because Hagar became Abraham's wife after he laid with her. That's what this says in the scripture. That was that man's wife once he laid with her. So that would have been his second wife. Read that verse one more time, King.
And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dealt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife.
Right. So it would have been unlawful for him to leave his wife because he got this woman pregnant. And it would have been unlawful for her to leave him. What should have taken place was he should have kept the woman, or put like this, she should have come up with another arrangement to where he can make his own child. But this society has taught our women to be selfish that way. She, like what he was saying, he was like, I want my own children. But in her mind, it's like, no, if you want your own children, if it got to be there, you got to just cut me off. Leave me alone. That's wrong. You can't do that. Once you married him, you married him. That's your husband. That's your wife. Right? So that would have been an unlawful divorce. Right? Let's go to Matthew 5 and 31. Matthew 5 and 31. Yeah, that would have been unlawful. You can't lawfully divorce your wife for that reason. You know what I'm saying? And you can't lawfully divorce your husband for that reason, according to the Bible. You know, in this society, anything goes. People say, well, yeah, you can't. Yeah, anything goes in Babylon. Men can sleep with men, women can sleep with women. You know what I'm saying? So you can't use Babylon as an example. We talking about scripturally. We talking about according to the Most High. All right. Go ahead, read that, King.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 31. It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery.
If you put away your wife for any reason outside of fornication, you cause her to commit adultery, because she's going to sleep with somebody else. And so you cause her to commit adultery. If you don't, which means you can't just put her away for anything. That wasn't a good enough reason. It has to be for fornication. And there's spiritual fornication and there's physical fornication, right? If she goes try to serve another guy, that's spiritual fornication. If she goes and sleep with somebody, that's physical fornication, right? So it says, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, meaning unless it's for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery, right? Keep reading.
And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committeth adultery. Shalakia.
And anybody that married her, if the man didn't put her away for the right reason, anybody that married her, he's committing adultery as well. If y'all don't go through divorce for the right reason, meaning it has to be lawful, it has to be according to scripture. So if he would have put away his wife and said, look, I got a woman pregnant, and so I'm gonna go ahead. I know you said divorce you if something like this happens, so we're gonna go ahead and get a divorce. I'm gonna give you a bill of divorcement. If he would have did that, he would have unlawfully, according to scripture, divorced his wife. And if she would have left him and divorced him, she would have unlawfully divorced him according to scripture. And so she would have had to, but if she would have done that and married someone else, her and the new guy would have been committing adultery, right? And he would have been committing adultery by divorcing her for another woman. You can't divorce your wife for another woman. You can't do it. Now, put it like this: you can't divorce your wife for the cause of getting or being with another woman. But by him already dealing with that sister or just getting another wife lawfully, scripturally, that goes along with God's law, statutes, and commandments, right? But to leave your woman for another woman, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say, "Oh, she's better, so I'm gonna get rid of her." You can't do that. You can't do that, right? Did y'all have anything on that matter?
Wow.
Okay, kind. So, basically, in this situation, he couldn't have left his wife. He couldn't have left his wife. Yeah, he was wrong for being deceptive about it. Yes, I agree. He was wrong for being deceptive about it. He was wrong for basically not solving the problem in the beginning. In the beginning, he should have said, "Hey, look, if you can't get pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we can't do this." Or she should have said that, "I can't get pregnant. You want to have a baby? We can't do this." They should have addressed that in the beginning, right? But once they didn't, you know what I'm saying, got married and everything else, you can't divorce your wife because you done had a baby. You done got another woman pregnant, and you can't divorce your husband for that reason, right? But yeah, that's the conclusion of the lessons tonight. Y'all ain't got nothing. So look, we're gonna give our glory and honor and praise to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Thank y'all for joining us, and catch us next week, same time, same place. And yeah, I've been having a lot of homework and stuff lately, and I've been working and all that. So sometimes I know it's been weeks where I be missing not being able to do class. And like I said, it's because a lot of times I get in late from work, or it's between that or schoolwork or something like that. So, forgive us for the weeks that, the times that we're not able to do class, knowing that we want to do class. Yeah, I love doing the will of the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
But yeah, thank y'all for joining us. And we're going to say, hey, Shalom.
Shalom.